Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage now. 4 ladies that you're gonna love, because they're lovely ladies. Samantha Smith, Rhodes, Brianna, Buckmaster, and Ruth Connell. We can make it if we try, just the 4 of us. You and I, just the 4 of us. Shooting castles in the sky, just the 4 of us. You and I. Hi guys.
Hi.
Brianna, for some reason somebody told me you weren't coming this weekend. So just...
Who said that?
No. Someone on the team. Someone...
Not it. I blame Norton. Scans, right?
We'll review the text.
What's that?
We'll be here on Venus.
Oh, not tonight. Gotcha. Copy that. Hey.
Hey, Rob, just saying, we were all here yesterday.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, not the redhead, because I flew in with her.
The redhead.
Okay, have fun.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I saw Rob playing his guitar. Did he play you some songs? Oh, that's dope. Fucking love that.
When we're in Dallas, should we just all speak Dallas?
I can't help myself. Y'all.
Right?
Y'all's a great way to greet a crowd anyway, right? It's gender neutral. We should all be doing that.
Y'all.
Ruth Connell, everyone.
It's very early, but I do think Disney is...
I think so. I think we'll find out at the end of the panel.
My question, so Jared and Jensen are known for messing with people on set. So my question is, what is a favorite memory of them messing with you?
I messed with them. I don't know, we get this question a lot, but I recognize a lot of you are new, and I'm always happy to talk about what little assholes those guys are. And they do like to pull pranks, but the first episode I ever did was, the first scene I ever did with the boys was the donut scene. And they learned very quickly that was hard to make. Yeah, sure, let's give the fucking donut scene a round of applause. So the donut scene is its own actor. And yeah, Jensen tried really hard to make me crack. And he did after a while, but I didn't laugh. I just went, no, it's too much. It's too much. Like, come on, Mr. Ackles. Tone it down a little bit. Yeah, and then there was one episode I did where they would be doing my coverage. Can you stand up for 1 second? So Ruthie is me and I'm Jared. So I'm Jared. Exactly. And then so Ruthie's acting, and then it's like Donna in the flesh. And then Jared's going like this. And anyway, Phil Segretia sent me a text message that night, or the next day, and when I saw the dailies, he's like, good job. Does anybody else want to talk, or?
Jared picked me up once and spun me around, and it was like being on a merry-go-round. He is very tall.
You did that in the scene?
No, not in the scene.
Just for fun.
Just for the fuck of it. Yeah.
That's wild.
Not a lot of, I think about it now. They teased me, but they never messed with me, just because it would make us all giggle. And I appreciated that.
Pretty much the same, except for I just stayed out of their eye line. You know, like all they're thinking about when they're filming the show is the gag reel. I swear to God, they're always just like, what can we get in the gag reel?
They think they're gonna win a fucking Oscar for the gag reel.
I took a fucking header. I went tumbling. And there were 2 steps. Immediately, they checked to make sure I was okay, and the next words were like, play that back, play that back, play that back.
I wanted to ask a question that I asked Sam yesterday, and her answer was great. It was Guns N' Roses. So I said that when I want to feel 15, because it's been a minute since I've been 15, I listen to Duran Duran. So
Who?
to Duran Duran.
So what do we listen to if we want to feel 15 again?
Exactly.
I don't know. My mom yelling at me?
Depeche Mode. Tank, fly, ball, smoke, jam, nitty gritty. You listen to the bullet from the big. You know that?
What the fuck was that?
More. Keep going till we recognize it, Ruth.
Okay, I'm embarrassed.
What was it?
My heart's rate racing. I can't do it. You know, it's a song from the 90s.
By who?
I don't. I know the whole thing.
I was really, so for 15 for me, like that was really current and popular that I listened to. It was a lot of Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls. But I was a bit of a skid in high school, and I loved the Reality Bite soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it, right? That came out, I came out a little before I was in high school, and was big into the song Tempted.
Tempted by the fruit of another.
Yeah, such a good song. A skid,
Is that a Canadian term?
is it? Yeah, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It would be like, I don't know, I had a mix of friends, so we had a big girlfriend group in high school, and it was like part jocks, part drama nerds, part people who skipped school, smoked in the back alley. Skids, yeah. So I was kind of like a blend. I was not a jock. Not even close. But I was a big drama nerd on stage. A little bit of a skid, yeah.
Before Supernatural, what is a skill that you never thought you learned? And then after Supernatural, what is a skill that you did learn?
I'm going to say that I'm going to answer a different question. That's why not. I got told I chose Latin at school because I love the classics, and I got told it was a dead language and I would never use it. And it's the only language I have used on stream other than my own.
Amazing. You took that to school? That's so cool.
Yeah, I just love all the stories behind, you know, my teacher's name was Griselda. Like, how could you not love Griselda and all her stories of the myths and everything? Which
you had to take her class regardless of what it was. It could have been anything.
I gotta see this woman, what she has to say.
I'm going to say, apparently, learning to find my mark without looking at it surreptitiously, because otherwise Jared makes fun of you.
I'm still working on that.
Yeah, that is so much harder than
It
you
is
think it is.
so hard, and yes, indeed, you saw Jody turned into John Wayne many, many, many times because there was a lot of this going on. Found it.
Just like hover around it eventually.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm just, I'm having feelings about it. Yeah, there we go. Got it.
My first day on set, they gave me a whole, I had to walk over somewhere, which is really nerve-wracking. You're first going to speak into a set. And I walked over, and Kevin Parks just came along silently and just went like this to me. I was that far away.
Oh, wow. When they say an actor only needs to hit their mark, it's because so few of them can. Is that there's something called triangulating, which is, I Googled this, and then I practiced at home, which is if you're walking into a scene, so say you're walking to an actor that's here, but your mark is, I don't know, your mark is like here, you have to also kind of look this way, so you have a triangle, so you're aiming this way, but through your peripheral, you know where to stop. Keep you from looking down.
Why don't they teach us that in drama college?
No, they're like, let's put comedian directing.
Meisner!
Teach me how to find an accountant.
Yeah.
Was it Meryl Streep asked Shirley MacLaine in her first film, what advice do you have for me, Miss MacLaine? And she was like, hey, if you don't hit your mark, you won't be in the movie. Like, that's simple.
I ended up counting my steps. Like,
backwards.
Which was something I learned back when I ran track in high school and I did long jump and triple jump. And so what you would have to do is, this is where you have to jump from, this line, right? So you'd have to go this way and do 1, 2, and then do your sprint to wherever, right? So I would be like, I would count backwards from wherever my mark was, and I'd be like, okay, 1, 2, 3. Which is really what you want your brain to be doing before you're supposed to be in a scene, is counting your steps. I'd be like, and go. Like, it just was, it's just...
Is this interesting to anybody?
No, we've lost them all. And then, we're gonna keep going, but then when you miss your mark...
We're gonna talk about accounting now.
When you miss your mark, but Janet and Jensen put their back to the camera, you just see them go like this.
Yeah. They won't, exactly, yeah. They're such pros, but they're also fucking assholes. They will not let one slide. She's like, thank you, fucking shut up already. Her license was talking about hitting your mark, who cares?
So you all are, and this is for all of you, so you're all individually like such strong, confident, badass women, even when you have your moments with, whether it's mental illnesses or just emotionally, and you also get to play characters like that on Supernatural and through other things. What is it like getting to play characters like that, given that a lot of times women in movies and television can just be portrayed as like one fold where they're weak or they're strong, and if they're strong they can't have emotions, and if they're weak they don't get to be strong, whereas you got to play both of those elements within your characters.
It's really fucking gratifying. And it's very nice to play a character that isn't all about repressing my actual human instincts and instead teaches me to expand and share and be vulnerable and honest with them. That's an honor, and I will always be grateful for it.
I think it's also really important, as you did mention, that female characters are written and portrayed as women who can experience feelings without having to identify with them. Meaning, for instance, Donna was really insecure about her body, but it didn't make her a victim, if that makes sense. So it's fun to have and portray characters on screen that can have full feelings on either and both ends of the spectrum and not have to identify with any of them. They get to just be fucking humans and exist in a world. And they get to be sad sometimes, and they get to be badass sometimes. And they don't have to get pigeonholed. And I think it's very exciting that I feel like media is moving towards that. And I feel, as Kim said, very fortunate that I got to play a character like that.
I think it's no accident that the society was changing in the last 5 or 6 years of the show. I was lucky enough to come in then. We had Meredith Glynn join the writer's room. We had Steve Yockey, Bob Burns, as well as the great writers who were already there. Some of the better stuff being written for women and their longevity and being brought back from gay male writers. Thank you. You know, and a woman. I think that was part of it. And just to still say though that I followed Gina Davis online. She's a real feminist, and of the over 50s, in the category of over 50 on television, if there's 5 parts on television, only 1 will still be a woman. So things are changing.
Oh, I'm very aware of that.
So to have had the arcs and the experience that we've had, it doesn't happen on every television show. It's one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life, never mind jobs. So I couldn't be more grateful, and it makes it really hard when you get an audition now for a one-dimensional character. It makes it really hard. You're like, this is it, because it was such a gift. So yeah, I hope I answered your question without being too much of a downer.
No, you did. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up one more time. Give Rhodes, Samantha Smith, Brianna Buckmaster, and Ruth Connell! If you try, just the 4 of us, you and I. My heart. There's no one else like her. She's just a wee bit of scotch. Give it up for Miss Ruth Connell. She's a black magic woman. She's a black magic woman.
Ruth Connell. I think I threw my buck out there at the end too. How are you all doing?
Contagious, doing great.
Very good. How are you? See you later. Look after yourself. Don't jump off any more drums or anything else. I did put my dress on especially for you all. That was the plan. And this is when I always get to fix my hair. This is my mirror. The camera's like my mirror. It's really hard to do your bangs because you can only ever catch them from the side. It's really hard to see yourself. So these never look good in photographs that you all take up my nose from down here.
Hello.
What's your name?
I'm Rachel.
Where are you from?
Pasco, Washington.
What do you want?
Was that your first introduction into the witchy world?
Let me think. No, I think I was always tuned to the moon. My nana passed away. She was who helped bring me up, my mum's mum. And she passed away when I was about 6 and she went to heaven. You know, that's what you get told. And I really had a strong sense of her spirit. And I always felt like, I didn't used to ever want to bother her. I never used to ask her for help too much, but like once or twice in my life, I would be like, if I was really in a fix, I'd be like, okay, Nana, could I have your help, please? So I always had a sense of something like that. And in Scotland, like my great-grandmother used to read the tea leaves. And things like my grandmother, who was a very practical woman, she ran a football team. She was the only woman in the Scottish Football Association, Ruth Connell. Very practical. She also would think nothing of having intuitions about things, or, you know, that was sort of that spiritual side of things was sort of normal, if you know what I mean. It wasn't weird. So I always felt something. I always felt energy in that way, and and then I think playing Rowena just gave me so much license, to learn tarot cards, which I've learned, astrology, just different kind of things, intention work, candle work. It just gave me license to, and I think the whole world actually is exploring things like that more now, aren't we? Like, and I think it's part of, some of it seems quite feminine in a way, like feminine energy, like stuff that girls used to hide the fact that they had a secret picture of the boy they liked and all that stuff. And I feel like all that kind of stuff more out in the open. So I think it's interesting for me, like that I'm so glad I got to play Rowena from the point where witches were okay, and in the last 7 years they've become so cool. And I think that's part of the rise of the divine feminine in a way. And so I'm just so glad I get to be more, it's fun. All that stuff's fun. And the other thing I would say about anything like that is I'm very respectful of energy, and I wouldn't mess around doing anything, like the way Rowena thinks nothing, I'm just fixing you because you're in her way. I really wouldn't mess around. That would be my advice to people as well. Like, just do it with respect as well. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is the bit I would normally get you up on your feet and video you, but should I just get you up on your feet anyway? Get up, you lazy lot. You've got your phone out. Are you on Facebook? Will you post this publicly? Okay, so you come up here. And if you tweet it, I will retweet it. Okay, you ready? So just when you're ready, sir. Thank you for the music. Ready? Ready? Here we go! 1, 2, 3. Let's hear you sing. Ready for the big bit? Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Dallas! Give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah! Good job. Thank you so much, ma'am.
My question is, what was your favorite part about playing a witch?
I love your boots. Come over here. Turn around. Wow. You look fabulous. See, Rowena would just be like, do a spell and steal your boots. What was the question?
What was your favorite part about playing a witch?
Well, it's tricky. You know, I'll tell you the tricky thing about playing a witch, which is what one of the writers said to me, is that, you know, if you can do magic, then there's no jeopardy. Oh, we'll just levitate out the situation. You know what I mean? Or just turn them into a moose, an actual moose. You know, what I like about Rowena is like, it's kind of like practical magic. It's like, you need to get this thing and put this thing together, and there's an art. There's a formula, and I love that it was like practical magic. In a way.
Texas. Give it up for Jensen, Ackles, and Padalecki. Jared, what were you going to say? I interrupted?
I'm catching my breath.
Yeah. No, I got this bad back thing, so I'm toast.
Listen, I'm going to make you feel better right now.
Okay.
Today marks the first day that Jared and I actually started stretching backstage first.
Wow.
True. They're playing the song, and Ackles is like, dude, we should stretch now. We're like, yeah.
It's coming to that.
That's where we are.
That's what's happening.
I'm so loaded up on Advil right now. I might need you to carry me on stage.
We would if we could. We would if we could.
I know.
Hi guys and gals, howdy y'all. I like that. It's nice to see extended family in our state of birth and residence.
Big D! Who here is actually from the Dallas-Fort Worth area? All right.
You didn't raise your hand. You're supposed to raise your hand.
I did.
Oh, I did. Well, I should have looked at you. I didn't look at you. I've looked at you too much.
Yeah, you've seen this face way too much.
way too much. Anybody from San Antonio? All right. Is my mom here raising her hand? My dad?
Anybody here from New Hampshire?
Yeah, did y'all raise your hand?
Yeah, seriously? Come on, get out.
So, there's somebody rock climbing over in the corner. I don't know if that is like go New Hampshire or what, but I like it. Or whatever that was, I like it. So, quick
request. The rock climbing state.
Yeah, quick request on behalf of Jensen and me. We have family in the room, so be kind, make us seem cool. But the mama and dad of Padalecki and mama and dad of Ackles are... And another little backstory.
50 years of marriage this past year for those two.
That's the bobblehead anniversary, right? Bobblehead anniversary?
That's bobblehead anniversary, yeah. Yeah, it used to be the golden anniversary. Yeah, now it's the bobblehead, according to my father. He's like, she's gonna love this. I'm like, is it made of pure gold, Dad? She's like, no, why would it be that? It's the bobblehead anniversary, son, get with it.
Deal with it, how times have changed. But they were back in early 2020, so 2 years ago. My parents and Ackles' parents were supposed to come up to Vancouver to watch us film some of the last couple days or a couple episodes of Supernatural, and then something happened. I forget what, but
oh, it's still happening. That's why.
Yeah, it's still happening. Blocking out my head, but they could join us all today. So thank you.
Let's go, man.
Good, man. How are you?
Looking good.
Look, because I have your old hair. And you have my old hair.
Well, I was just talking about me. I'm looking good today. There you go.
Hey, take it easy.
I mean, I wasn't fishing, but
Thank you. I love you.
okay, he knows that.
Okay. I felt that.
Felt that right there.
Right there.
Soldier boy. Yeah. Come on.
What's the... I know we have people waiting patiently, but I want to know, is it official when it's coming out yet?
June 3rd.
And that's not changing?
June 3rd. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. It's actually not coming out. They've scrapped season 3. My mother's here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Touche. Well, let's get to the questions.
Yeah, anyway, back to Supernatural.
All right, I'm gonna lead this charge. I'm gonna steal first question. So, over here, how are you?
This is a question from Lynn, since she couldn't be here. And she says, how are you both feeling about Jensen directing on Walker next month? And then what are you most looking forward to? And what, if anything, are you nervous about?
Clearly me directing him next week. That's what he's nervous about.
Good, I'm feeling well, I suppose. My mom's English teacher, so I have to say well. I can't say I'm feeling good. But I can't wait. You know, and I will say the most exciting part for me is, you know, on Supernatural, I was 22 years old when we shot the pilot. He was like 45 or 46, whatever. But, but I had a lot of growing up to do. You know, I was a man child, but still there was a partially child. So yeah, but I think a lot of people on Walker have met me as, you know, an almost 40-year-old man with a wife and kids. I'm excited to introduce a lot of our cast and crew to one of the dudes who helped me grow up and learn how to do what I do. So I can't wait to show them off on set.
And I can't wait to go over to, you know, one of my brother from another mother's job, and essentially speak to him in a way that I'm pretty sure no one on that set's ever heard. And speak to, you know, boss man here. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I'd be like, cut, Jared.
That sucked.
Wow. What was that? That was horrible. God.
Everyone's gonna be like,
I go away for a year and a half, and this is what happens? What are you guys doing to him? You know how long it took me to get him to this, and then now he's, come on, man, get it together.
well, hey,
Lock it up. Roll sound. Action.
and that's when I say, well, Ackles, listen, man, I left my soul back in Supernatural, so go easy on me. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I think we're both looking forward to it, and I think I start prepping a couple of weeks for that. And I gotta be honest, you know, it's going to be a different experience for me because I've only ever directed Supernatural, and I did a half dozen episodes of that, but that was a very safe place. And not that this isn't, but that was a place that I lived and breathed in for all of the other times that I wasn't directing. And so I don't have that same relationship with that set and with that story and with those characters that I had with Supernatural, so it'll be interesting.
You also don't have to worry about being the lead of a show that you're directing at the same time.
Right.
You can just come in and direct, so
Right.
it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Take care.
We'll have some fun stories for sure.
We'll bring it back.
Hey there.
Hi, y'all. No pressure, but I may have the most important question of the con. So, Jared has been asked this since day one. Jensen, now that you have the luscious locks, we simply must know, what conditioner do you use?
I'm glad you asked.
We're all glad she asked.
Yeah. So if you're all wondering what happened to Jared's hair, whatever he used for the last 15 years, boom. That's the result of a transplant.
Hashtag samesies. That sounded wrong?
That did sound wrong. Whatever Danielle has bought herself. That's generally the rule. And if married men out there know what I'm talking about, it's just like, whatever.
I have an honest question, because this has happened to me several times, where I'll go into the shower and Genevieve has bought whatever she buys for the hair and this and that. And so I'm sort of like just showering, and then I'm like, okay, well, I need some, where's the body wash? And it's, so I just grab something, I sploosh it, I don't know. I put some body wash in my hand to wash my body, and I'm like, this isn't really lathering. Like, what is this? It's like, oh, that's conditioner. I do honestly, like, have you never, bullshit. It looks like it's not, I'm like, I know this isn't shampoo, this must be, you have like 30 bottles of whatever.
They do the straight thing where they actually write what it is.
I never learned to read.
On the bottle.
I don't read in the shower.
What?
I read on the toilet.
Well, yeah, but you don't look at the ingredients of that thing? You don't see the methylchloroisophenylcholine?
Listen, when I shower...
I'm serious, I think that's actually an ingredient.
Because who knows? When I'm in the shower, it's usually pretty steamy.
I'm not going to touch that.
I feel like I need a shower right now after that comment.
I'm going to remind you that our parents are in the corner over there.
You've never put conditioner on.
I'm going to stop talking about this now.
I demand a true answer. Have you ever used conditioner as body wash?
No.
Anybody? Help me out?
No.
I see you. I see y'all.
Neil has these giant, they're professional, salon size things. The big giant pump thing. Yeah. It's hard to mistake that because you can't even pick it up. It's just like. And one's green, one's purple, and one's blue. And once you figure out what color you're looking for, it's pretty simple. I'll call Jen, I'll have her color code them for you.
Next question.
You're waiting for me.
Sorry, here, Jensen.
That's true.
Thank you for your question. Next, please.
Oh gosh, somebody asked a question. We talk about combustible engines. Let's do it.
So I'm reading this question from my sister.
Go.
So, one, she says, I love y'all, but Jared, she loves you more.
She sounds like a very...
Misha, I get that too.
She sounds like a wonderfully intelligent young lady.
She's in the
great
crowd
taste.
right now, so...
She's in the bathroom right now?
No, she's in the crowd.
Make sure she doesn't use conditioner if she's trying to wash her.
I deserve that. Well, thank you, sister, wherever you are. Bathroom. Thank you, sister.
And her question is, do y'all believe in the paranormal?
Do we commute in the turnaround?
Believe in the paranormal. How did you get commute in the turnaround? There's not even consonants that are alike in there.
commute often. I turn around sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, what was the legit question?
Believe in the paranormal.
Do we believe in the paranormal? I think.
Or commute in the turnaround.
Do we get to choose which question to answer?
Yeah, I think we should. It's a two-parter, right? I think we should answer both of these questions.
I'm very open-minded, just sort of. So I don't not believe in it, and that was a double negative on purpose, Mom. Thanks, I get it. I don't not believe it. But if I can't put my finger on it, I'm just gonna try and keep my head and my mind open to it.
My answer to the actual question is similar to Jared's in that I don't really have any proof or experience with the paranormal to be like, I 100% believe in it, and this is why. But I'm certainly not the person who is going to say, no, I don't believe in it. I'll give you a quick example. There's a house that my wife and I are working on right now. It's a very old house, and there has been a few sightings by a few different people within this house. So my wife's a little bit more open to the idea of that world mixing with our world than I am, and so she found someone who deals in that space to come and take a look at this property. And right away, that person was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of energy here. And I was not there because I was like, yeah, I'm good. And so the woman did her thing, whatever that was, and some of you may know this, I don't know, but there are certain like ritualistic type of things that you can do to release a spirit or energy or whatnot. And part of that was to put rice all over the front porch. And my wife said, what's gonna happen? Like, do we just come back tomorrow and clean all this up? And the woman was like, no, the spirit will take it with them. And we came back the next day, and it was all gone. And we asked the person that was the project manager, we're like, he's like, I saw the rice there last night, and I was the first one to show up this morning after locking the gate up, and it was all gone. Did you guys come in the middle of the night and clean it all up? And we're like, nope. So I'm like, whatever. We clearly have a rodent problem. And that's what's happening. So I don't know that I'm available for that because I think more in practical terms, but I definitely think that if there is something like that, then they picked the wrong house. Because I got 15 years of training. I may not be a doctor, but I play one on TV. And I will save your life. Same thing.
Have you guys taken any photo ops recently where you're just like, the next day you're like, oh man, I feel that now. Like, injured, essentially.
Yeah, the next day. How about a moment later?
These are all great. He and I are both, like, we love people, this is our family. The really, like the photo ops, so to speak, that I feel really crummy about, are when you text something to your wife and she posts it on her Instagram the next day, and you're like, that's not what they were supposed to be. So yes, note to self, kids and adults, photos last forever. Yes, thank you.
You know, there was a time, I would say, early on in doing these shows, where we were still trying to find our footing and figure out the comfortability factor of you know, poses, and I'm sure some of you were around during those times where, you know, like certain things were off limits, and it was like, well, we just, you know, because like Jared said, photos are forever, so we just assumed that any kind of position or prop or anything that you ask us to do is going to be blasted all over the internet for all to see. Which is an unfortunate part of our industry that we kind of have to keep in the back of our heads constantly. it is what it is. But I think as we have done more of these, and we have that comfortability has grown with this, what we now consider a family, and so now it just feels like taking goofy pictures with our friends, and we appreciate the respect that you guys give us, and in return we respect you guys so much that we don't mind looking like dorks. You know, we don't, and it's because we appreciate you guys so much. So.
And then Misha shows up and he ruins the status quo.
What's that?
And then Misha shows up and ruins the status quo.
And then Misha shows up and takes it like 17 steps further, and we have to like reel him back in. But yeah, it's. I remember Misha and I at one point we were like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And some of you probably know what I'm talking about. And then at a certain point, he and I just looked at each other. We're like, have we given up? Have we given up saying no? Yeah. They're like, whatever. Sure, let's do it. No, but I think it is just it's an echo of the respect that I think we've all built together as friends and family.
Was there any particular stunt that you found super challenging or memorable that you still reminisce about today?
Yes, thank you. Nice to meet you. There are a few.
I was gonna say there's quite a few to choose from.
That's the legit the one. I don't want to say scary because you know we had a very sad.
Because we don't get scared.
Yeah, I was scared. What are we gonna do? The one thing that I hadn't really, we had done fight training. We had done jumping through this, jumping through that. The one thing that I've never done, and I don't think Jensen have done it either, was jump through essentially an opaque plexiglass window from higher than we are now, just trusting that there was a pad there. I think it was season 5 when Sam and Dean jumped through the church window, the stained glass, and they're like, okay, just go fast, not too fast. You're gonna fall, and we were high enough to reach free fall, which is a really strange sensation when you're jumping through something and you can't see what's on the other side. And so we're looking at each other, and we're like, well, we're pranksters. What if they prank us and like pull out the stunt pads? What do we do? So that was uncomfortable. That I recall for sure. I obviously
it was a blind fall essentially. Even though we were jumping forward, we were running and jumping through something that you couldn't see through. So
and it must have been this high.
Oh yeah, no, it was a full second-story jump.
Yeah. The scene and skin between Sam and Dean when Dean has been shapeshifted. I remember blocking it on the weekend, and I remember shooting it. It's an all day long shoot. And we were young and spry, and we somehow or another did stunts for 12 or 14 hours. Welcome back, same film. But there are several, I remember, those are probably the 3 that stick out the most, but certainly he whispered church window, and that was the first thing that popped up in my head.
I had a couple of driving, I guess you could call them stunts, that were probably pretty shady, and I probably shouldn't have looked as comfortable as I did doing them on camera, because I wasn't inside. One was when we run out of Kane's house. It's Crowley and Dean, and they hop in the Impala, and Dean jams it into reverse and just guns it between 2 other vehicles. And it was way tighter than I thought it was gonna be. And it was, I think I turned it, did the back up over the shoulder. And I remember Mark Shepard, as soon as we got through, I had maybe less than a foot of clearance on the other side of the car. And I was flooring it. And it was a dirt road. So it was sliding. And stone face. Just like, and we went through, and then I hear the cut over the radio, and I pause it. Mark Shepard goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I think I looked at him and I go, I know, right? That was cool. That was dicey. So there's definitely some stunts that were pretty hairy that we did, but hey, it was fun.
It looked cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, how is it, what factors you think have made you guys come up so grounded and compassionate and, you know, good folks? Especially when you're in this business where, yeah, that's not the norm. And is this something that you have to keep working at?
I think look over there. I know we were both outrageously fortunate kind of winning the lottery from birth and just having great role models. And I think as kind of we grew and started exploring the industry, like he and I never were really like, hey, this is like, let's go try and be famous. It was like, hey, let's like just hang out at a house and watch football. I don't even want to go to the new club. I don't want to go to the new red carpet. It's like, I hate that. So it's kind of like nurture nature. And then I know that he and I, for 15 and a half years, also like kept each other grounded. You know, like he's an impressive dude. He's talented. He's handsome and all that stuff. But it's like he's just a dude. Like to me, he's just better now with proper hair. But like you know, but it was just like we were always just people. So if we had good days, we'd support each other. If we had bad days, we'd bring each other up. They're just really lucky. You know, like being in rooms like this with people like y'all for 100+ conventions, and just being able to talk and meet new people. And we've been very fortunate, being able to travel around the world and talk about a shared passion. A shared craft or art that we all enjoy, you know, in some way, shape, or form, has just really, I think if you keep on, if for me, I said this to Jen the other day, we say it a lot. Like for my kids, I want two things out of my kids. I want them to be kind and curious, and that's it. If you're kind and curious, everything else falls into place. But once you think like, I'm right about everything, and they're wrong, and I'm gonna be cool, I'm gonna be mean, and I don't wanna listen to their opinion, that's when you kind of fall down the wrong path, or travel down the wrong path. But yeah, we were very fortunate, and you know, those folks over there.
Yeah, they're certainly responsible for giving us a foundation that I believe we were able to build upon as we got older and had our own experiences and our own relationships. But yeah, it really kind of started, not just what we were taught, I think, early, but the example that we were shown. I think is very important. It's not just do as I say, it's watch what I do and and try and follow. And we have really good examples sitting over there. Yeah. And like Jared said, we never. This was never an objective of ours to be sitting on this stage. Our objective was to be good people, to be a good son, to be a good friend, to be a good brother, to be a good husband, and to be a good father. And sometimes that's hard to do. But I think if there's a desire there, then good things can happen to you. So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And let's be honest, we're Texans.
Community helps. Community helps.
Did you guys think that Supernatural would ever get this big filming season 1?
No. No, I think he and I both did the pilot, and then it got picked up for season 1. We were like, oh, yeah, this is like the best stuff we've ever done. We might get 3 seasons out of this, which is a runaway success in this industry. Getting 3, multiple seasons of anything is beating so many odds. So the fact that we got to 15 is, If there's a reason we're the longest running genre television show in American television history. It doesn't happen.
I think like to agree all around. I think a little like sub factor to that is that in some sense, to some degree, me for sure, and I imagine Jensen as well, like I still don't think of Supernatural as like a worldwide show. I think of like the work that we did together, the work that we've done with Gayled. Like we didn't show up going like, man, we could be really famous, or we could be apparently last week like #7 on the Nielsen ratings most binged. So cool, thank y'all. I mean, thank y'all legit. But I think he and I showed up every day for thousands and thousands and thousands of days and went like, okay, let's do the best we can right here, right now. They are going to call action in a second. Let's give everything we have until they call cut. And then we'll reset, give everything we have. It was never like, well, if we cry in this scene, someone in France might watch it. It was just sort of like, we just try to make the best product. We're storytellers, you know what I mean? So we just try to be, we both worked our asses off for years and years and years and years. And not on camera about like, here's how hard I'm working. You know, going home, losing sleep, traveling, waking up early to memorize dialogue, calling each other, or meeting to go through script points or whatever. And then get to work, do your work, and go home and let it go. And so then, you know, with like, is there a plane in here? But then it just worked. And I think that's why people, but I think it worked. I don't think, like I still don't really, I'll meet people again, like especially after the pandemic and now the world's opening up, like, oh, I love the show. It's like, you've seen the show? Like, I didn't realize that. Like, I just went to work and went home. Like, he just went to work and went home. And then we'd go home and see our families. And then go back to work and go to work and go home and do our level best. But, no, I would have never thought.
We found success in the fact that they kept asking us to come back and do the show.
Because of y'all.
That was our success. Because we weren't getting asked to go walk the red carpet at the Emmys, and we weren't asked to the Golden Globes, and we weren't going to the Critics' Choice Awards, and we weren't getting, you know, splashed all over TMZ, and we weren't that kind of as an industry would consider a runaway success. We were like, you know, this little train that could, you know, and we just kept shoveling coal in the engine and kept moving forward. And we kind of based our success on the fact that they kept asking us to come back and do it. And honestly, when we get to kind of look up from our work and look around and say, oh wow, somebody's really paying attention, is when we come here and see you guys. Yeah. We're like, oh, people do watch this show. Yeah, that's kind of cool, because we love it too. So we're here wanting to talk about it just as much as you're wanting to hear about it. So,
listen, fellas, we're gonna bring someone on stage that we all.
Yeah, we got a little special thing for you here, Dallas. What are we doing?
He's a member of our family and a dear friend of all of ours, and a dear, just a special person. This is Cliff Costerman, everybody. Cliff, you can come on stage.
Cliff had a big birthday.
Cliff had a very large birthday. He turned 30.
Yeah, he turned the big 3-0.
Big 3-0.
Times 2. I mean,
times 2. Welcome, Tiny. Welcome, Tiny.
Please give it up for Cliff Costerman.
Where are we? Thank you, Ruthie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cliffy. Happy birthday to you.
Please give it up for the bringer of the cake. That's Ruth Connell on cake delivery. Happy birthday, Cliffy.
Quick speech? No. Okay, good. That's why we're taking the big bucks, guys.
Thank you very much. Few words.
That's it for us.
All right. From a couple Texans to a lot of other Texans and to non-Texans, all alike. Love y'all. Miss y'all. Happy New Year. Please give it up.